Hey, what's up? It's Michael Yo. Thanks for joining the podcast. Appreciate you. Ernie, the engineer, is here. What's up, Ernie?
Yo, what's up? What's good?
Oh, you finally learned how to talk into the mic.
You know, it took some time, but I got the position right on these new arms, this high-tech stuff, man.
It looks good over there.
Thanks. Yeah.
I mean, people can't see you. You're like the dude that's behind the fence on Home Improvement.
Oh, yeah, the dude with the...
Yeah, you're just the voice behind the mic.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're getting there. My wife is pregnant. Everybody knows this. It's getting closer and closer and closer. It's nerve-wracking, man. I'm kind of nervous about it, bro.
Whoa.
I'm nervous about the number 2. The number 1, I wasn't nervous. But number 2, I'm kind of scared. Well,
because you know how amazing it's going to feel? Is that what's going on? Or what are you afraid of?
But sometimes you feel overwhelmed with one kid and you're like, ugh. And then I'm thinking, oh, my God. In just X number of weeks, which is not very far, we're going to have another one. And I'm like, if my wife gets frustrated sometimes at 1, what are we going to do with 2? Like, I already am a guy that doesn't do a lot right. My wife is like, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. Now it's going to be like, oh, you need to do everything. It's like, it's going to be so insane.
Oh, man. So are you thinking already about if it's a boy or a girl?
Oh, no. So we don't know if it's going to be a boy or a girl, but that doesn't matter to me. I think that matters more to my wife and her family and my family. I got my son, and I hate to sound selfish, but I got my boy. He's super athletic. He's only 2.5 and he's knocking golf balls over the fence. Like, the dude is special. Like, my son is special. And I know all you people watching, like, my kid's special too. I'm not saying your kid is not special. Stop trying to compare my kid with yours. All right. This is my podcast, not yours. You want to talk about your kid? You have your own goddamn podcast. Okay. I hate those one-uppers, Ernie. I talk about you say something nice on your Instagram about your kid and somebody else is saying, oh, well, my kid did that too. I don't care about your kid. Stop trying to one-up me on my own page, okay? That irritates the hell out of me. By the way, side note, Fahim Anwar is going to be on the show. Phenomenal comedian.
Yeah, great. I'm a huge fan.
He made the variety list for one of the comedians to watch. It only took him 17 years. People are like, oh, he's new. No, Fahim has been doing it for 17 years and finally getting the credit he deserves.
And no one knows that.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, no one sees the struggle. They just see the end result. So.
It's like the 20-year overnight success. People are just like, wow, this dude came out of nowhere. No. He's been doing it for 17 years, so we're going to learn about his story. He was passed at the Comedy Store like 2009, so I want to know what it's like being at the Comedy Store back then to now. And I heard his first friend in comedy was Delia. So I want to ask about that too. Okay. Yeah. So he has a lot going on. I also want to talk about real quick because everybody in the entertainment news is talking about this. I don't know if you heard Demi Moore coming out with her brand new tell-all book.
Yeah.
She's talking about threesomes with Ashton Kutcher, miscarriage, splitting up. Ashton Kutcher tweeted, I was about to write a snarky text, but then I looked at my son, my daughter, and my wife, and I erased it. Heart face emoji. I mean, it's like they haven't been married in over 10, 15 years or whatever it is. But for an ex to bring up and put you on blast in a book, like a tell-all book, you think that's right or wrong? Or she deserves it? I mean, she has a right to do it.
I don't know. You don't think this is a publicity thing? Maybe it's like,
of course, everything in a tell-all book, anything that's big is publicity. But she also talks about her mom at the age of 16 coming home and basically selling her as a prostitute to some random dude at the house. Had sex with a dude for $500. Uh-oh, somebody's at the door. Oh, that's Fahim. That's Fahim at the door. Fahim is here. So we're going to come right back with Fahim Anwar. He's on right now.
The Michael Yo Show. Celebrities, pop culture, and comedy.
Hey, what's up? It's Michael Yo. Welcome to the Michael Yo Show podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Give it 5 stars. In the studio, one of the most brilliant writers I know.
Come on, that's nice. Thanks.
You're probably the only writer I know, but
you know a lot, man. Come on.
Fahim Anwar, how are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I want to talk about this. Variety magazine.
Yeah.
Comedian to watch. You've been doing it 17 years.
17 years, but I'm a young whippersnapper now.
You are. You're new in the game.
I exist now. It takes 17 years to exist.
What changes after something like that? Does anything change after Variety says you're a person to watch?
Kind of, or I don't know. I think gone are the years when you do one thing. Like Carson or a list like this, and then you're like set and you're a made man. Like there used to be a time when it was like that. You did Carson once.
Well, 35 million people would see you there.
Yeah. So that was like all the eyes were there. But now I find, look, it's very cool. You know, it's a list that I wanted to be on for a long time. But nowadays it's sort of like, it's an amalgam of a bunch of things. It's like, all right, you do one late night, you do another one, you do this variety list. It's just all of that. And maybe you do a movie. It just takes so many things to kind of like chip away at people's perceptions.
Yeah.
And then doors kind of slowly open. It's just such a delayed thing. It happens over time. There's no like, boom, you're on. I think it just very rarely. Maybe it still happens, but like super rare.
Do you feel that, like, for people that don't know the industry, like when you get on a list like that, how much work do you have to do to get on?
Zero. That's why like,
okay.
Maybe your people are working behind the scenes pitching. I'm sure like, my reps through my years have like tried to pitch everything and be like, nah, or I'm not actively doing anything. I'm just doing stand up around town and working on my own, you know, I'm not lobbying.
So do they tell you why?
That's what I wanted to know. Like when they told me I got it, I was like, oh, cool. Like I forgot about it, just because sometimes you'll want a thing, you'll pine for it for so long, and then you just never get it. And then you just forget of you give up on it kind of. You go, all right, whatever. Like, this door's not open, I'll go through a window.
Yeah, exactly. Make your own way.
Yeah, make your own way.
I'll drive a car through that bitch.
So, I mean, so many people in entertainment and just the arts, they fall into that trap of like just waiting behind the gatekeeper's door. Like, tell me when I'm enough.
Yeah.
And they just wait until it's too late, or they don't make, at least like move your feet.
So that's the thing is, like, you know, I was talking to friends about this. We're in a situation where a lot of times we do have to wait on other people, but now
you used to.
Now we're seeing, like, I saw you just do Joe Rogan's podcast. Like, that dude made his own career.
Yeah.
Like, literally, he can say yes or no to anything. Andrew Schultz is a guy like that. There's plenty of other comedians that are making their own name for themselves. So I feel the industry is changing, but still at the same time,
if
nice. You want to get on TV, you're still waiting.
There is still this division. There is this new exciting Wild West, which is like Instagram, YouTube, podcasting, just straight to the people, no gatekeeper. And you're seeing a lot of success stories. But then there's like Dunkirk. There are barriers of entries.
Oh yeah.
You know, just because there's so many moving parts in the studios. Like, this is gritty. It's easy to do. There's not there is production value, but it's not as much as like Dunkirk or Spider-Man or something.
And what I love about it, you control everything on this platform. On this platform. Now, even when you get a TV show, it's like, oh, we love your idea. We love your idea. We're going to make a TV show. Once it comes out, it's probably 90% not your idea anymore.
Because there's so much money involved now. Like, the overhead is so low on something like this where you have complete control. But once there's so much more money in a studio behind it, and you got this guy putting his 2 cents, this is noted to death. So, and then it's no longer the Michael Yo thing.
Yeah. So what is the toughest thing for you? You've been doing stand-up for 17 years. All 17 years in LA?
No, I was in Seattle for like 4 of them.
Okay, so...
And then Long Beach, but I would drive up. So 4 years, then I moved to Long Beach, and I was...
So when did you get past at the Comedy Store? How long ago?
Like 2010?
2010. Yeah, so 9 years.
Yeah,
9 years. What has been the biggest struggle for you in that 9 years, being at the Comedy Store and just really being in Hollywood and dealing with the industry?
Well, when I got past the store...
was that Mitzi?
No, it was like she was still sick, and like, so she wasn't like visiting the store that much. It was Tommy. It was the Tommy years.
Yep.
So yeah, I was trying to get past there, and it's such a process. That's the thing. And I'm kind of fortunate that I met that place at a time in my life when in my 20s, where I could just burn that much time hanging out. You know, like some people catch the store too late in their life.
Yeah.
Like they're in their late 20s, or, you know,
if
they have a family, they can't just hang. And that's like part of it.
And that's what I'm saying. And so to get past at the Comedy Store, what people got to realize, like, it's a brethren.
Oh, it's a frat house for sure.
Yeah, it's a frat. You have to be around all the time for people to know you. Nobody ever goes, oh, this dude crushes on stage, let's pass him. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Unless you're a New York guy and you've built some notoriety, and then it's kind of a formality to come in. But if you're like just a funny person, unknown, like no ink or whatever or anything, and no one really knows who you are, it's like so hard to, you still have to like
How long did it take you, like, hanging out and doing your thing at that place before?
Maybe 3 years, 3 or 4 years. Yeah, 3 years.
And what was your passing process? What'd they do?
So what happened with me is, like, I never really gave the store the time of day because I was living in Long Beach and it was just so far away.
Yeah.
But then there was this show in the Valley at the Sportsman's Lodge, which is no longer there anymore. But that was the only place I could get up on the weekends. So I would drive to the Valley from Long Beach, like every Friday and Saturday. And it was this terrible, that's the thing. Like when you're a younger comic, you do the worst shows in the world just because like that's all that's available to you.
And you need to get up.
And you kind of don't know any better. Like delusion is your rocket fuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then
you get paid nothing.
You get paid nothing. Yeah. So I was doing this open mic on the patio of the Sportsman's Lodge. It's like it's right there by Ventura or whatever. So you hear the buses going by, just like, because people could see the bus behind you, and it would stop, and you would just hear you'd be in the middle of a joke, and you just hear just like the air brakes, just and then you'd like wait for the bus,
right?
So I would do that, and then I met Delia, Chris Delia out there, and we were just both like nobodies, just running around town, and he thought I was funny. I'm like, I didn't like myself. Whatever.
Now, was Chris D'Elia at that time?
Okay. No, yeah, we were both no ones, and now we're megastars. Now he and I are both equal megastars.
So Chris D'Elia this was 2000.
He was just doing the mic scene as well.
2007, 8, 9?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So we became friends. We exchanged numbers, and he was kind of like one of my first friends in LA, or like comedy friends as well.
Is it hard for you? You seem kind of like an introvert.
I am. Well, I have gears. It's like, I know you really well.
Yeah.
So I can be me with Michael Yo. Cause we've hung out several times.
Absolutely.
And like, but like, if we had just met for the first time, you're going to get a different me. I'm a little more, I lay in the cut. I observe. Like if we go to a party or something and I don't know anybody, I'll do pleasantries and stuff, but I'm not like,
I'm not
life of the party.
Social butterfly.
No. I got to know you. I have to be like comfortable, and then I can kind of be me.
Is that what causes that, you think?
I think for me, maybe Middle Eastern upbringing, you know, like the nail that sticks out gets pounded down.
Get back in your hole.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's a trait, be studious and all that. I don't know if that's like a very Middle Eastern thing. Be like, I mean, it is for some. Maybe the ones that are a little more like LA or like, I don't know, adopt a Latino or like black culture. You know, because there's pockets of Afghans who live closer to like I have some cousins in like Northern California, and they were closer. Like my school was all like white and Asian.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, maybe I'm not life of the party. I just have different me's.
All right.
I love that episode of Seinfeld where George is talking about his worlds. He's like, "You're killing independent George." He has friend. Yeah. You have family for him. You have friend for him. You have stage for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're different things to me.
So in 2000, like when you were doing these open mics, these terrible, I cut off that story. So when did you transfer from the Sports Lodge to the Comedy Store?
All right, so the genesis of that was I met Chris and we became friends, and he kind of gave me a reason to start leaving Long Beach more, because I was working there, and then by night I would kind of drive around, do these spots, and he got passed at the Comedy Store like very recently, so that gave me a reason to start coming to the Comedy Store
because
my friend was there.
Yeah,
I had an in, you know. Before it's just you're this faceless person. And it's not the warmest of places if you don't know anybody.
And what was in 2010, because the Comedy Store is the hottest place on the planet right now.
Yes.
On a Tuesday night.
Oh, it was dead, man. Like,
was it really?
Yeah. Like, it was like never sold out. Only like the lower, like in the OR, maybe it would go back like 5 seats. There'd just be so much empty space in the back.
Wow.
Yeah, even on Fridays and Saturday, it wasn't a hot spot whatsoever. Like Meltdown was huge. So there was some, all right, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So Chris gets past there. It gives me an excuse to start hanging out with my friend and just going to the Comedy Store. So I go there on the weekends just, to get out. And then he vouches for me with Tommy. He's like, yo, this guy's really funny. Like he's like, come by the open mic. So then I start putting my time in with the open mic. So I would come. It was 2 nights at that time. They would do they would do Sunday and Monday were the open mics. Mm-hmm. And I have a day job, so I was working at Boeing at the time. So I couldn't do Mondays. So I would do Sunday. And then Tommy would do these mind game things. Like, it was like the Marines. Like, getting past the Comedy Store was like being a Marine. Like, he would test your physical limits with how late you would stay.
What?
And also like mental, be like, yeah, you'll get up. And then it'll be 3 a.m. And he's like, and then you're not going up because like you're not on the list, even though you were told you're on the list. It was weird shit. I don't know if it was really.
But you didn't like that, did you? I mean,
no, I hate it. Like,
okay.
I mean, I'm not a rage guy or anything, but I'm like, I can't.
This is ridiculous.
I did it for a little bit, and then I had a conversation with Tommy. I was like, look, I understand. There's a system in place. I want to play ball.
Yeah.
You know, I respect it and all that, but I have work. I have like a day job. Like if I come, I kind of need to know I'm going to go up because I have to wake up super early the next morning.
Because he's probably used to a lot of people that don't have like
just burnouts. And like,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not throwing everyone under the bus.
Burnouts, crackheads, you know.
That's the thing about comedy is like you'll get guys like you who are just like dot your I's, cross your T's. Like you're about it. Like me, I think as well. Like we're very economical with our time, and we're
100%.
Yeah. Like, this isn't a game. Yeah, comedy's no joke. This is serious business.
Yeah.
But then there's other people who are just kind of like float through and like here's an idea, and you know,
they're just there for the hang.
They're there for the hang. Yeah, they're
which is fine.
Yes, it's a different thing though.
Yeah,
I think it's less frustrating if you don't go up and you're that guy, as opposed to like, I've scheduled this.
This is in my calendar.
This is in my Excel spreadsheet. Why am I not going up?
So how long did you have to do that before you got passed?
So probably like two or 3 years. So
of this open mic thing at the Comedy Store on this
So
Sunday.
it was huge that Chris vouched for me.
Yeah.
And then that opened the door for me to start coming. I was one of the guys to come through kind of in the system for Mike. And you do that until a certain time, and then they go, I remember I got off stage and he's like, Colin, your avails Monday.
Oh.
And that was huge.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it would mean as much to me as it did. It kind of like crept up on me. It caught me off guard. Like when I got passed, I didn't think that I valued that much, but I did. Yeah, I was over the moon.
I mean, what I love about you, you're a very humble guy, but every comedian at the Comedy Store, if your name comes up, they all go, "Oh, he's phenomenal."
Oh, that's
like
nice.
like you get the respect of a lot of, like, I don't want to call you a comedian's comedian, but you get the respect of a lot of comedians. Where there's a lot of comedians out there, comedians don't really respect; they're just huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is more important? Let me ask you: which would be more important to you, be a huge comedian or respected by comedians?
I mean, both would be nice.
Yeah, it would be.
But I will say, you know, what you just said, was like fuel for me, or it kept me going. It was sustenance, because when you don't have that other thing, you know, like I think the commercial success had escaped me for longer than like maybe some of my peers, and I would hear this all the time, like, dude, why aren't you like I've been under the radar for 7 years. Like, it's crazy.
I'm just so under the radar.
Yeah. So that sucks. It's nice to hear, but
and you, in the industry we're in, you see people you started way before.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden they pass you by.
Right.
And they're on a TV show, they're on this, but it's this type of city where you just gotta kind of suck it up and go, hey, it's their time, it's not mine. And you gotta kind of accept that.
Yeah. And that's
everybody has their own
lesson
journey.
you learn. It like, after it happens so many times.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard.
It is at first when you're a younger comic and you have nothing. Yeah, like at least I have things now and I have a career, but at first, when you have nothing and you're just grasping at straws, you just kind of feel like, where's my rocket ship? Or like why? And it won't even make sense. It'll be like so-and-so, and it's like some black roll. And you're like, I should have that. Like well, you're not even.
Why they cast Tiffany Haddish? This makes no sense. I
should be in Girl Strip. Why did they cast Tiffany? I could be way better Tiffany Haddish for that role. Yeah, so it even makes no sense when you're a younger comic. But everyone's journey is so different. But what kept me going, or what was nice, was just I've been fortunate enough to always have the respect of my peers.
Yeah.
Through my tenure of comedy. And that's very filling, you know, until you have that other thing. It keeps you going.
Yeah.
Just to have like top to bottom, just people like really, to have that peer respect.
How's it feel now? Because when you were at the Comedy Store, you said it was empty. Like we got in it, you said it wasn't filled up.
And so I'm kind of glad that I got passed during that time. But you couldn't see it for then because you can't see into the future. You don't know that it's going to have this resurgence or the pendulum's going to shift. I'm just toiling away in obscurity. Like no suits or talent. People are really like looking. It's like a black hole of comedy.
For how many years? From 2010 to about what?
Like maybe a year before Rogan started coming back. Like it started turning around before Rogan came. Like once Adam took over.
Yes.
It started.
So what year was that? About 15?
I'm ballparking it. Yeah, maybe 2000, maybe 2015 or 2014. I don't know.
Because Rogan was kind of banned from the club.
So it was that Mencia thing that happened. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I think they kind of took, at the time, Mencia was so huge and the store took kind of like Mencia's side because he was the money maker. He was the moneymaker. And then, even though it's fucked up, you know? So Rogan's like, he just goes to the Ice House pretty much. Like I remember he would always have shows there. And I was at the store a lot, but he would never come by or anything. Yeah. So he was just kind of like over there at the Ice House. Then Adam takes over. It's run a little bit more like a business.
Yeah. Instead of a marine.
Instead of an asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the moves and some of the, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
But Adam ran it more like a business. Like,
we want these big people here.
Yes. We want it to be welcoming for A-listers. Like there's no reason some of these people shouldn't be passed. And then it's like, yeah. Just like megastars, you know? And then it became, then like Rogan came back and that was fucking like another level.
Yeah.
And then Burr and like, it just became the place to be.
And now you're a part of that.
And now I'm a part of that.
How's that feel, man? Because I'm a guy that honestly, like in my mind, I've just always said I'll never get past at the Comedy Store because I know the procedure it is. Like I have a family. I got another kid.
Yeah.
Like I can't put in that work. And to tell you the truth, I feel myself, I want to be, if I ever get past, I want to be at such a big level where it's like,
it's a formality.
It's a formality. Like, it's respect. Yes. You know, it's like, okay, this dude has accomplished this in comedy. We respect him. I respect y'all.
There's two ways to get past. Yeah. It's put your time in as like, you know, a younger comic or just if you have that time to slog it out for a couple years and then, all right, they get past. Or you come in, you know, as a juggernaut or something.
As a Tiffany Haddish, as a Kevin Hart, as a Dave Chappelle. Yeah.
There's really no other way to do it.
Yeah. And there's no way I can spend every night in that.
My
wife would kill me.
Sure. And it would be benefit prohibitive too. Like what do you gain by doing that?
Yeah.
You already get up so many other places. Like you're already making moves.
Okay. So
I've always been an advocate for get in where you fit in. I just happened to fit in at the store at that time. And although no one was really looking at me at that time because it was a comedy black hole, everyone was at Meltdown. And I'm like, man, and like there'd be shows that are hard to get on. And
okay, Meltdown, where was that? Was that at the bookstore?
The comic book store on Sunset.
Got you. I remember that.
That was like everyone is going there, and it's frustrating as an artist where, you know, sometimes there's exciting things happening in a lot of different scenes.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe I understand it when you work as a suit. You know, in a building, you just hear about some show, and then it's kind of lazy scouting where they're like, we'll just go here all the time.
You know what?
We're just going to go, and they don't go anywhere else. And there's like some pretty exciting things happening at the Comedy Store in the dark ages, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was just kind of toiling around, and then, you know, Andy Farrick, like he's my manager now, and like he was just a young kid who was like in the mailroom at CAA.
Yep.
And he just happened to be like hanging out at the Comedy Store a ton. He was the only guy who would go there.
He wasn't the cattle. Like I call a lot of people, they're cattle. This is hot. Cattle. Yeah.
So he would just hang, and he was seeing all this untapped thing. Like I was going up super late night and everything, and he's like, how does no one know about this guy? And he's like telling CA at the time when I was there, he was in the mailroom. He's like, this guy, you gotta.
Are you still with him?
No, I'm off somewhere else. Yeah. So they're like, this guy, you gotta like. And they're like, yeah, it's like the boy that cried wolf, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, nah. But then over time, they kind of got it. But it took someone going off the beaten path and being like, hey, no one's here. I got this whole...
Yeah. So now, how'd you meet Hassan?
Oh.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, Hassan.
Hassan?
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd you meet him?
Just stand up in LA. So...
He lived out here as well?
Yeah, he was out here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The whole Goatface crew. We were just doing stand-up comedy around town. We'd always see each other. And I think I met him when he was still living. He hadn't made the move to LA yet. I think he was still.
Because he's from the Bay Area.
He's from the Bay Area.
Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was living in the city though. He was living in San Francisco. I think working at Ming. It was like this internet startup when people and brands were trying to do like their own MySpace.
Yeah,
I don't think it's around anymore, but it'd be like 50 Cent wants his own MySpace. And you would go, like his own branded.
Yeah, his own, yeah.
So he was working at that company and then doing stand-up at night, and he invited me to do this show at the Punchline. I don't know if that might have been the first place. I don't know. I could be botching it, but that's one of my first memories of hanging out at the Punchline. So I did that show. He put it together, and then he moved to LA, and we'd always see each other at shows and stuff. And then me and my buddy Aristotle Afiris, we would do sketches on YouTube. Some of them would go viral and some of them wouldn't. We felt like, we're two funny guys, but there's no angle. Like he's half Greek, half Iranian. I'm full Afghan. We go, all right, if we bring like Hassan and Asif into the mix, now it's like 4 brown guys. That's like a hook. So much of this business, and is like, what's the angle?
Yeah.
Sometimes funny isn't enough.
No.
I feel like that's kind of like why my success has been a little delayed, because what box do you put me in? Like, I'm an Afghan American. I was born in Seattle. I'm very American. I talk about Middle Eastern stuff sometimes if I have maybe a political idea about something, but it might be like 10% or 20% of my act. Mm-hmm. So, these suits are like, all right,
where do we put them?
Where's the dollar signs? Like if I was just like a good looking white guy or something, I'd be like, all right, we know what to do with him. Yeah. Or if I'm like a talented black guy, it's like, all right, we know where the dollar signs are.
Another thing, where's your audience come from?
Well, yeah, who's my audience? Yeah. Is it white people? Is it brown people? Like I'm not brown enough for like brown people. I'm not, so it takes longer, or the funny has to be
consistent for a long time.
Or so exponential that we're like, all right, now it makes sense. Because so much of this town is just sort of like, all right, where do we put you? What box? Where's the money?
Yeah.
No one wants to be like, oh, what are your thoughts and all that? It's sort of like, all right, she's young, she's 23. All right, we got to do it. Like, okay,
So Asif, is he on every commercial on TV?
Oh yeah, he's in everything.
What is like? How does he get booked on every freaking? If there's a brown person in a commercial, it's him.
He'll be in like every commercial break.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he is.
I never have to ask what he's up to because I see.
Because you see his commercial.
I don't have to be like, yeah, what are you up to? I'd be like, oh, okay, so he's doing a H&R Block. That's cool.
But it's weird because you remember, like in the past, they would never want to use the same people in different brands. Now it's become a thing. Yeah,
they would have like a non-compete clause, like you couldn't eat a Burger King burger and then a Wendy's burger.
That's right.
Like people at home would be like, that guy, he lied to me.
He lied to me. But
he's
this
eating a burger
is killing it on every commercial, and he gets booked for every TV show.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not,
he should just live at studios.
That's amazing.
Don't even have a home.
Do you ever look at that because he's so close to you and go, okay, what am I missing? Am I not brown? Like, what's happening?
Again, it's one of those things of like early on, you're like, oh man, how do I? But it takes a while to figure out what your lane is, you know? Like, he's great at that. And that may not be my thing, Like, I've leaned more into stand-up, and that's kind of, I think maybe Asif sees what I'm doing in stand-up, and we're like, I want to be there with that. Yeah. Sometimes I'll see that with his booking and stuff, like, I want to do that. So there's power in kind of like leaning into what you already do.
It's so funny that in this industry, people will look at what you're doing and go, wow, he's at the Comedy Store. I wish I could do that. Yeah. But he's on 5 TV shows. You know what I mean? Like that person, like it's always you want that other thing that you're not doing.
Or like you'll have, from this or like, radio or something, and it takes off and you're like, oh fuck, that'd be great. But like you've been doing it for years and you've built this audience and it's this different thing. So it's kind of naive for me to think I should be having, but it's human nature. Yeah.
What's been your toughest part in stand up? Like your first time on stage, did you bomb? How'd it go? Your first time ever?
First time ever. I think there's like, I say there's 2 first times for me. The first time I ever did stand up was in high school. It was, this comedy night we put together because I wanted to do stand up for the talent show. And then they said, no comedy.
Okay.
You're not allowed to do comedy.
That's a weird talent show.
Well, because I think they were worried about like parents getting upset.
Got you.
Because if someone plays the piano, no one's gonna like write a letter to the school. Like, you call that Chopin? Right? So music is very safe. Comedy is where they're worried about like ruffling feathers. So they said no comedy. And I was just like really upset. Like, oh, how can you rule out an entire art form just because you don't want a letter from a parent potentially? So then instead of just laying down, me and my friend put on this comedy night at our high school. And it was after hours and we had to do it. They made us jump through so many hoops and we finally did it. And then I did 30 minutes of stand up on it.
Your first time ever?
First time, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. If anyone like is watching, like normally when you do stand up for the first time, you do like 3 minutes or 5 minutes at an open mic.
Yeah, it goes 3, 5, 8, 12, 15.
Yes,
yeah, you
those
build
are the
like
increments
that.
that you build. But I was like, nah, I've got a hot 30. I've got me having never done stand up. I have something to say.
Yeah.
I have something to contribute. But whatever. It was a supportive environment. You know, they're mostly
everybody
friends.
loved it. Yeah.
It was a great first time. And then, so that's my like technically first time. But then the first time I did stand up like in the real world was at the Comedy Underground in Seattle. And that was like 5 minutes. And it went well, decent enough to like keep on going.
Now, when how do you write? Because you're such a brilliant, I mean, you've helped me on stuff. Like, I've never sat down with a person. I would put you and Joe Coy on the same level where literally you sit down, throw out a topic and you're like a machine gun and this and this and this and this and this and this. Did you always have that or is this something you developed?
I think I've always had it. Like maybe it's become more refined and I can see the matrix a little more. Like when something just gets thrown at me, then I could see, I'll know that it'll work more like in stage language because I've been doing it so long. But I think I've always had that just because of what I consumed as a kid. Like I grew up on Simpsons, and SNL and Conan, you know. And I think if that's turning your brain into comedy putty as a kid, what a great foundation to have, because those are just like so quick and absurd, and it's almost like it's like fun. It's like a fun sparring match.
Yeah, like
and,
literally,
and the neurons are like lightning quick and everything. So it's less methodical about like, oh, and then he can enter. It's more like we're having fun. It's like, I don't know.
It's crazy.
It's like tennis or something. Yeah.
So have you ever tried out for SNL?
Yeah, maybe like 2 or 3, right before Goat Face. So it was happening around the same time. We were developing Goat Face for Comedy Central. And that was always the dream, to just have, you know, our own sketch show with the guys. You know? And then, but then I got this audition for SNL. Neil Brennan helped me out get it.
So what was your audition? Because I know some comedians, they just go in and do stand up. Yeah. And that's it. But I know you're a character. You're a great actor. Kind of, yeah. Like, so what'd you do for your audition?
I just did stand up.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. Because I've heard enough stories about people doing stand up and that's like allowed. I just didn't want to. Maybe I have the capacity to do characters and I will do them in my stand up sometimes. I'll break into, if I'm like doing a scene or something, like I run into this guy and I do him or whatever. Yeah. It sounds like a terrible joke. I ran into this guy.
And he was like, hey.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? In doing stand up, I'll do both roles if I have to. But I was like, why am I don't want to get a box and put on a wig, and that's not what I do. I do stand up. So why don't I, again, it's one of those things of playing to your strengths. That's good for groundling people or like, Second City people, because that's like a duck in water. That's what they do. But I didn't want to audition for SNL as a stand up in my bones and then try to be a groundling on the most important audition of your life.
So how was the experience for you?
Mine was kind of lower tier. Like when I say I auditioned for SNL, it makes it sound like I flew to New York and I was on that. I wasn't even that. It was just when they were here in LA.
Gotcha.
So they were at IO West and I did it. I did stand up on it. I liked what I did, man.
Is it an industry room where it's very like everybody?
A little bit. I mean, because they're there. Everyone knows they're there.
Yeah.
I think Ben Affleck was there too. Ben Affleck and Casey Affleck were there. And then like one of the producers was there too.
So do they not laugh as loud?
No, it was good. It was fun.
Good.
Yeah. Because I've heard they don't laugh that loud when it's on that stage in Rockefeller Center, because it's just the writers in the back of the room. You know? For that audition. Mine was just like here in LA, and it was good. Like I liked what I did, and that's all you can ask for when you audition for something is like, is that a reflection of you? You know, and if it is, then that's out of your hands.
Because they asked me to audition for SNL probably like 5 years ago, but they were saying you need to bring 3 characters. I guess this was before people knew you just could do stand up, or maybe that was a secret.
I don't understand.
I was like, because like
Pete Davidson did stand up, I believe. Leslie Jones did stand up.
Yeah, but I think that's over the last, like maybe this was 7 years ago. But I remember the phone call, like, hey, NBC, or like they're going to be in town, they want you to audition, but you need to know 3 characters. Right. And I go, I don't do characters, I just stand up. And honestly, I just started comedy 9 years, so 7 years ago would have been 2 years, I wouldn't have been ready anyway. And so I said no. But like now it seems like if you can pull off stand up in front of that crowd, then they feel like you can do anything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I just like letting people do what they do.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, square, be a circle.
Yeah. Let Shane Gillis, we all know that name now. No on SNL. Right. What's your, like, because to me, you're a true comedian. Like, you speak from the comedy side first, as a comedian first.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that? Like, he said some racial slurs on a podcast. Yeah. And then it wasn't just that. They found other videos of him, which I think complicated the problem more. And then his apology wasn't really an apology.
Yeah.
He used the, I'm a comedian, I'm a risk taker. So knowing all that, what's your take on it?
I think like this is the first of, like, I didn't know that this is like the first of someone actually getting the job taken away like that, you know? I think it's, of course it's ugly, you know? You look at that, like, I don't condone that. I think it's fucked up. But here I can understand maybe the thought process about like what he was trying to do. What sucks is that there was no even syntax of a joke. Yeah. You know?
So it was kind of just like if me and you just started talking about Asian people and just dogging them. Like, but in no context.
I think what has happened in the past is people have tried to make a racial joke and it lands flat and they still get attacked. But at least you could see like, all right, they try to do some flips. Yeah. And they didn't stick the landing. This one is just so conversationally.
Because it was a podcast.
Yeah, like all like the tried and true excuses of the past of like normally like, oh, it was 7 years ago. Like that's not there because it was like a year ago. Yeah. Or like he's trying to make a joke. Like there was no syntax around it. So I understand. So that's what's unfortunate about it. But one thing I was telling a friend too about, like, I think there's this New York scene, especially with like podcasting and comedy too, where just being very brazen with your words and everything, it's almost counterculture. It's like a scene, I think, kind of
I agree.
You know how
I said not to cut you off, but I was doing a podcast and I said it seems that style of comedy is very geographical.
Yeah,
you know, it's he's from Philly.
It's very raw.
It's very Philly, New York.
Like we don't think about our words. Yeah, words are words.
I'm gonna just say whatever pops into my head. Be aggressive.
There's people who like. There's a ton of people who like love that, especially because it feels like
they're trying to pull off a Bill Burr, but a little bit more risky,
and also just in this climate we're in, because the other side of it is being overly PC sensitive, and woke, and this just seems like the antithesis to that. Yeah. And so it speaks to a lot of people like to just brazenly talk like that. So I don't think it's malicious. I think it's like a style to like feed to whoever's listening to the. So even though it comes across as like racist, I don't know if it's. I think it's just playing into that like, yo, I'm such a bad boy. I don't think about what I say.
I agree with that, and they use the label as comedy on that, but that's just like what I told one of my friends when he asked me about it. I go, people talk different in different places. Like the words he used in that, I guarantee you a lot of people in Philly talk like that. If he's from Philly, but a lot of people would be even worse in Houston, Texas, you know, where I'm from. Yeah. But in LA, you wouldn't hear that talk.
Oh, no.
No, you know, so it's like marriage. Like LA and New York, people get married way later. My friends in Houston, Texas got married at 21. Yeah. So geographically, people talk differently.
Yeah, I think it's a geographical thing.
Yeah. It's still wrong.
It's still wrong. It's still wrong. Yeah.
But I took it as, oh, this dude's trying to be funny to that roughneck audience that likes that style of comedy. Yeah. It's just not landing and it's not funny.
Right.
And my thing, and I know comics go, hey, we should get a pass. Not a pass, but it's comedy. Leave us alone. Don't. But my thing is also, I think today, you should be responsible for what you say. We live in a climate now that you know what you say could hurt you. So not be careful, but be willing to take the repercussions from it.
Totally. And if you're feeding into, you know, this fan base that respects to like, just talk however, that's cool. But understand if you break out of the stratosphere and there's a super mainstream job like SNL, their standards are going to be very different than these standards down here. You know what I mean?
It was interesting.
Like you have to be squeaky once you get up here. Oh, yeah. And you can't be surprised now that you're under the microscope.
Well, it's interesting. My friend goes, would you have hired him? I go, well, if I was on a Dave Chappelle type of show on Comedy Central, I would have hired him in a sec because I want that opposite side.
Yeah.
But SNL, now I'm Lauren Michaels or the network. I got to respect all the people on the show. It's not his show. He's coming on to a show. So now he has to be able to work with everybody on that staff, and knowing you just hired the first Asian American on the show.
Yes.
So it's
become bigger. It's become like,
it's bigger than just what he said. Everybody on that floor has to kind of accept.
It morphed.
Yeah.
So like now, even if you really like want to hire the guy and think he's funny, it's just, you can't, it's just become so big that you can't even operate as a show anymore.
So, and that goes back to cancel culture. What's your thoughts on that? Because I think it's gonna reverse, and it's gonna reverse hard.
You know what I'm noticing is, like, we like to think that it's so clear cut and it's so easy. There's so much friendly fire. We can't tell who's the ally and who's not.
So true.
And we like to think that we do, but like this Shane Gillis is different than like the Melissa Villaseñor tweets is different than, is different than, but we all lump it. Yeah, there's a lot of collateral damage, and no one knows what it is because it's so new.
Yeah, it's new, but I also feel like it's a thing where a lot of people are saying a lot of things that are wrong. I don't want to say racist. A lot of things that are wrong, but they get judged differently. So it's kind of like, and what the thing I don't like is how people reach way in the past. For instance, they go, well, 20 years ago you could say that, so why can't you? So you're not thinking about the cultural shift. You're just going, it should be like it is in the past. Like we celebrate Eddie Murphy's new special coming out, if it ever comes out. There is no way those Raw and Delirious could ever air today.
Yeah.
Like
there's even bits that maybe I did 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I'm like, I wouldn't do that today.
So, but you're shifting with the cultural shift where, because I think we're not the Dave Chappelle where I got money in the bank. Whatever, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
And we have to play the game.
We have to play the game. And I think when you hear from a lot of bigger comedians, hey man, you got to say what say what's on your mind. You got to stay true to comedy. I get that. I understand that. But a lot of these people saying that are super rich and they can afford that. You know what I mean? When you're trying to come up, get on a show or build a career, it's hard to do that because look at Shay. This is his big shot.
Yeah.
And he stuck to what y'all said and it got taken away. And I don't see comedians coming out everywhere and having his back.
Yeah. No, there are some.
Yeah.
You know what I'm realizing? Like the comedy scene, it's like Professor X and Magneto.
Yeah.
Whenever these things happen, it's like, what side are you on?
It is. And it's a thing where, but if you like a comic, you'll have their back.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know him, you're like, well, that's stupid. But if you know him,
but here's the thing though. It's easy to say if you like him, you'll have his back. But then there are some people who might like have an opinion on it and they might want to tweet something, but then like, why am I taking food on him? Like, why do I dare even try to like, I might be fucking my shit up if I.
That's right. If you went out and defended him,
especially on Twitter, is like, I could be like, we're having a nice day. And like, my life is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like Twitter, if you, let's say, all right, we need a replacement for Shane. And you tweeted, man, I got your back, man. Let's call wait, he just tweet. Like now you're hurting your career by defending a person like that. And Dave Chappelle, whoever, Bill Burr, they can do that all day long.
Yeah.
Us, like you're taking food
you have
out
to be strategic. Like, we have to be very cautious about everything that we do.
So how cautious are you on stage now?
On stage, less. That's the beauty of on stage is, that's why when someone gets attacked about something they say on stage, I think is unfortunate because that should be, I mean, not to sound corny, but like a safe space or a safety net. Cause if I have some outrageous thought and I take a stab at it and it falls flat, I've learned. That's a lesson. That's like a dog, like putting a dog's nose in some shit. Like, all right, I know, like that's too far. That's where the line is. The audience tells you. But if someone just like recorded that or like some journalist was there and then runs with it, like, no, you don't understand. I'm not going to do that bit or anything. Like I was like you have to appreciate the swing.
Well, it's like if a journalist was there, it's like taking their rough draft and going, this is how you write?
Yeah.
You know, their first draft and going, you're a shitty writer.
I think everyone, or to, I don't know, the layman, they think that stand up is a finished product every time they see that person. You don't understand that. Anytime you see a comedian on stage, they're in flux.
Yeah, it's always working.
When they put it on a special, that's like as close to finished as it's going to be.
And as soon as they get off stage, you're like, I could have done it better.
Yeah.
So true.
Like no comic is just like, it's perfect. It's just like, we're filming tomorrow. All right, I guess this is the best I have it right now.
You created another character that you do on stage. Do you still do him? What's the name?
I haven't done him for a bit, for like a year and a half. Lance Cantstopolis.
Yes. How'd that originate? Because I saw you. There's a clip that went viral of you going at somebody at the belly room. They were trying to talk crap, and you went. How'd that character start? And everybody watching or listening to this pod, how can people discover this character?
Just YouTube Lance Cantstopolis.
Lance Cantstopolis.
Yeah.
It is so freaking funny. How'd you come up with it?
That's just the beauty of the Comedy Store. I think for as much as some people would like to think that the Comedy Store is just like super clubby and maybe like, I don't know if you want to stereotype it like, it's like 80s. It's all like machismo, just 80s comics or set up and punch. I almost think, you know how in the political spectrum, like you could be so left and then you come back around right? Yeah. The Comedy Store is kind of like that, where I think there's some alt sensibilities at the Comedy Store, especially in the dark ages. Like there's 3 showrooms. It's dark. You can be experimental, but not everyone uses it like that. But you can, like
the belly room. That's kind of like that's what that room's for. Yeah, and to have fun and
totally, and you could take risks, and we're all friends there. It's not like some places are like you've got to be great every time. You feel like you're on the chopping block. I mean, I'm so far beyond that now, but like at the Comedy Store, like once you're in, you can take risks and it's respected. And they just know you're a funny person, even if it, like the swing you took wasn't great for that night. Whereas other clubs would be like, you wouldn't dare take those type of risks.
Because every time I'm at the Comedy Store, I try to crush.
Well, you're in a different, I've been past there for a long time. Sure. I know everybody. So it's like,
people know you're funny.
Yes. They'll know I'm trying something so this kind of came to be because I was already a guy there and they knew I was funny. And, Willie Hunter, you know Willie Hunter, right?
No.
He's a stand-up comedian. He worked on the Gerard's show on NBC. Okay, yep. He's a talented writer and comedian. So he had this variety show in the main room, where you have guests and everything. And then he called me and he was like, "Hey, I want you can you dance on my variety show?" like as a guest, just like a musical guest or something. You just come out and dance. I'm like, that'd be kind of weird. Like if I just, as Fahim, come out and dance, it's like kind of sad a little bit too. I go, that's weird. I don't know. But then I had this character, I did him for a video. I'm trying to think what the video was. It was this video I did with Melissa Villaseñor back in the day. This is one of my favorite sketches that we've done. It's called Dirty Breakin'.
Dirty Breakin'. I gotta look that one up.
Yeah, YouTube Dirty Breakin'. If you type my name in and Dirty Breakin', it's like one of my favorites. But I had this character, like I had a mullet, I had a jean jacket and like a wife beater and like acid wash jeans and like tucked into, and I had a belt. It was just like great. It looked like Van Damme from Hard Target. Okay, yeah. He was like an amalgam of every 80s machismo archetype, like Swayze. So visually I had this guy. I was like, I'll dance, I'll do it. And I'll be this guy. And he's like, okay, great. He goes, what's his name? And I'm just on the phone and I'm like, Lance, cause it rhymed with dance in my head. And I'm like, Lance Cantstopolis. Well, like he can't stop dancing, I'm like, Lance Cantstopolis. And he's like, all right, I'll put it on the flyer. So they make a flyer and everything. And then it comes the night of the show, and I had it planned for this dance number. I was going to dance to Chromeo's Night by Night.
Okay, I don't know that song.
I love that song. I love Chromeo. And I planned a little thing. I was just going to dance around and stuff, and then I was going to have one of the security. They had like security. He was going to come with like a leaf blower for one of the guitar solos. So I had like Dan Madonia. Yeah. He was like, he actually had a guitar for this like guitar breakdown in the song. So after I'm dancing around, that part comes out, and then we're like back to back. The like leaf blowers is blowing our hair and shit.
Is the crowd going for it?
Oh, they're loving it.
Oh, they're loving it. Okay.
Especially because when I started the dance number, like the lights go down. Like I really did like a World of Dance type thing. So I'm starting on the floor, and then I edited some like ocean sounds before the song comes in. So it's like you just hear waves, like I really arted it up. Yeah. And you hear seagulls and shit, like, and I really like Cirque du Soleil performance it, and then I start dancing and shit. And then there's that guitar solo, and it was great. People loved it. And I'm just floating around the comedy. I'm still dressed like this. I still have like a mullet, and I'm still dressed like this guy. And this is back, it's the dark ages a little bit. So I'm floating around the hallway. Brenton Biddlecombe catches me in the hallway. He's like, yo, we don't have anybody in the OR. Do you want to go up?
Oh my God. That's
amazing. I'm still dressed like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Cause like you don't turn down stage time. Right?
No, never.
So I'm like, yeah, cool. All right. I'm about to go up and I have this mullet and everything and shit. And I'm like, oh, I can't just be like, hey guys, what's up? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think I have to put an accent on or something. And I go, all right. So they introduced me, and there was hardly any people, maybe like 10 people in the crowd. There was like these cougars in the front row, and I go up, and they bring me up as Lance Cantstopolis, and I was like, what's up? How's everybody doing tonight? You're good, And I'm just like, we got like cougars in the front row. You have tiny champagne, because they had these tiny champagne bottles. Like you couldn't afford the big champagne. So, and it was getting this laugh. That was different than kind of like when I do. Like they're different things. Like when you do a joke, you're like, oh, I see what he did here, the syntax and all that. But Lance, like sometimes I'd get laughs off of things that weren't even a joke. Because you're just watching. I learned that it's a different thing over time. Like I don't go up there with jokes. It's just all you have to do is be. You just have to exist. If you're true to the character, it's going to be inherently funny.
Yeah.
Like, and then
because it's so out of play, it's so fish out of water.
And some people are just like, is this guy? There are so many people. Like half the crowd are like, who is it? Like they think it's like a real dude, and then half the crowd knows, and they like to watch. There's just like layers to it, and it was a type of laugh that where like when you're growing up with your brother or sister, and just something is. It's like childhood laughter, like sleepover. It's not adult, like, oh yes, life is hard, or it just cuts through everything.
Yeah. It's a different, you're right. Because even when I laugh at it, it's a kid laugh.
Yes, it's a kid laugh.
It's almost like, oh, this is hilarious. This it touches a different bone in you.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's fun just as a writer type guy to just, I don't have to think about any of that. I could just show up. And as long as I'm in the moment, and then it's going to be great. And,
I love it.
And then the fuel became he just goes up there, dances for a minute up top, and then goes, anybody have any questions for me? And then it's just Q&A. And everyone just asks questions, and then he just goes on tangents and just answers, and it's the best shit ever.
When's the last time you've done it?
It's been like a year. I might bring him. We'll see. I might bring him.
If you do, text me, because I want to be there.
Rogan texted me. He's like, bring Lance back.
You should do it on one of Rogan shows. I have
to really think about it.
You should do it on one of Rogan shows.
Yeah. Like just go elk hunting. He just uses his bare hands.
All right, Fahim, thank you so much. Where can people follow you?
Just all social. So at Fahim Anwar for Instagram and Twitter. I have a special, my one that it's on Prime. If you have Amazon Prime,
yep.
So it's called "There's No Business Like Show Business." Goatface, the sketch show I did with my buddies Hassan and Asif and Aristotle. You can find that on Prime 2 or Comedy Central. It's called Goatface. Check that out. And then I have a podcast too called Fahim Anwar Dance Hour.
There you go.
So yeah.
Where are you going to do a Lance one?
What, like a podcast?
Yeah.
I did for a little bit. There's probably like 70 episodes. And
nice.
And then, Lance, I don't know, he's in a log cabin somewhere. No one knows what he's doing.
All right, dude. Thank you so much, man.
All
right. For the people watching, make sure you subscribe, rate, and give it 5 stars. We'll see you next time.